Dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. And welcome to our series, Talk with a Professional. Our guest today is Brother Jasmin Nuhic. Brother Jasmin is a Bosnian-born, Arlington-based professional with proven record of working and delivering business results ahead of schedule, below the budget, and with full scope. His experience in all aspects of medical device operations, leading teams in the US and outside the US, and developing individuals. Currently, Brother Jasmin is serving Stryker medical device company as the Director of Advanced Operations. Jasmin is also a passionate author. He authored multiple books and articles. He is a speaker and also a coach in the area of professional development. Brother Jasmin holds undergraduate degree in science from University of Memphis, as well as graduate degree in business, also from University of Memphis. And he has a graduate degree in executive leadership from Christian Brother University. Jasmin is a father, husband, and he's a dear member of our community. So Brother Jasmin Nuhic, welcome to Talk with a Professional.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum to you, brother, and assalamu alaikum to all our brothers and sisters, wherever they may be. I'm excited to be a guest on your video cast. This is exciting. I've been watching you for a few months now, learning a lot. And I'm happy to be part of the community now.
Thank you. We're glad that you're able to join us today. So let's start by giving our viewers a little bit, who is Jasmin Nuhic?
Well, that's one of the toughest questions you can ask anyone. Who am I, right? So I'll just very short. I will start with myself first. And so as you mentioned, a little bit about me, Bosnian-born, Arlington-based. So I'm part of the Memphis community, and I've been part of the Memphis community for the last 22 plus years. But one of the most important roles that I have in terms of myself is obviously being a father and a husband, and then being a professional as a third or fourth thing. So all in all, I am. I would say if somebody could describe me, it would say it's kind of structured, driven, want to win, but also trying to be as best a Muslim as I possibly can be.
Appreciate. Thank you. So let's go back and when Jasmin was in Bosnia in high school, right? Tell us a little bit about your high school. What was your ambition when you were in high school?
Well, so a couple of things happened, right? When I was starting, well, let me just say this. As I was starting at high school, the war in Bosnia was winding down. Just thinking about the circumstances that I was in, it was not much more of dreaming big, thinking big. I just kind of got out of the 4 years of, how do I survive today, and how does my family survive today, either because of the shelling, because of the war, or just because of the circumstances, a lack of food, lack of resources, right? So going into the high school, it was probably one of the first decisions that I was empowered for the most part by my mother, as I lost my father at a young age, to actually think about it, right? To actually sit down and think about what do you want to do. Because in Bosnia, when you go to high school, you can pick a major. You can actually study for something. So she actually say, what just like you, like what is your ambitions? What do you want to go to? What do you want to do? At the same time, I was playing sports, and I was playing team handball, which gave me a opportunity to travel, to meet some people, to talk. And then ultimately, I ended up signing my first professional contract while I was in high school as well. So I was torn. I knew that sports is not for a lifetime. I have to still finish the degree. I still want to get a degree. I still want to be educated. So I was not as specific maybe in high school, but one thing was for sure, and that's something that's carrying me to today's day. I want to do something in the technical field. That was something I wanted to do. Either that be a technical in a sense of like I started, or something with the cars, with the transportation, or something more technical in the medical device industry. But I want to be on a more technical side versus this customer facing or some other areas of the business.
So tell us a little bit about your journey to the US for education.
Yeah, so that's actually a great question. I have to say, didn't think much about that question preparing for today, but I would tell you there is a chain of people that I need to be thankful to in order for me to be able to even to answer the question. In short, working backwards, coming out of high school, I was one of the top 5 students, not 5%. I was actually top 5 students in high school. And at the same time, I was still playing professional handball. So I wanted to start transitioning from playing professional handball into the professional world, somewhere where I know in the long term I'll be able to support my family and then have a more stable life. And even though that was post-war in Bosnia, I realized that I would not be able to achieve that or not able to achieve my full potential in Bosnia. So, I would tell you, this is kind of anecdotal, right? But a buddy of mine, high school, we sat together, we talked about what are we going to do after high school. We talked about, we want to go to university. Yes, we do want to go to university. It's expensive, but what are we going to do when we get out of university? Economy is low. The prospects are low. So what do we do? What are we going to do with the degree, with all the investment? And then ultimately we agreed on one thing, that we wanted to leave Bosnia. We wanted to pursue our education someplace else. And I will tell you, going back to home and being a senior in high school and telling your mother, hey, as soon as I'm done with the high school, I'm out. I'm going to find my way to get out of Bosnia and then go study someplace else. And surprisingly enough, my mom took me seriously. She started looking into the options for me and for us as a family, ultimately, because she knew once I'm gone, I'm gone. Long story short, we had 3 options, three different places to go, 3 different countries, one of them being the United States. And the reason why the United States was an option, because my mother's sister, my aunt, she was already in Memphis. She was already in the United States. And so we thought that would be probably the best thing to do. Needless, I knew that coming to the United States, my world would be completely flipped upside down. Because nothing I developed, nothing I learned in Bosnia, not even handball, carried into the United States. I came as a refugee, as a part of after the war in Bosnia. There was a program for refugees, for people that could not stay in the circumstances they were in. Took 8 months of a program between the interviews and the health exams. And ultimately, obviously, with the warrant or letters out of the United States, that we end up coming to Memphis. But like I say, there was a chain of people prior to that. I had to make sure that it started, believe it or not, with somebody who is from Pakistan, right? And that person brought somebody from Bosnia, and that person brought up somebody from Bosnia, and that person brought my aunt from Bosnia, or from Germany, in fact, and then they brought us here, right? So that could be in itself a video cast. Just that journey that started, I would say it started back in 1980 because of the first people that came in and ultimately created this chain that helped me and my family, or my mother and my brother, come to the United States.
You are an inspiration to many of us, who immigrated to Memphis and to this country. So now tell us about your journey when you arrived in Memphis. What was the plan then when you came to Memphis?
Well, so like I said, didn't know what to expect coming to Memphis, coming to the United States, period. The other two countries that we had options potentially of going to were Austria and Sweden. And I knew Austria and Sweden pretty good. I knew exactly what to expect there. Not in the United States. So jokingly, I said, I remember the day when I landed. I landed in Memphis about 11 o'clock at night and got off the plane. This was a time where you could still, your party could still wait for you at the gate. This was before obviously 9/11 situation. So what happened was, the moment I walked out of the airplane, my first impression of Memphis was, oh my God, how am I gonna breathe here? This was a late May, and humidity was to the roof. And even though it was 11 o'clock at night, it was hot, it was humid. The next day I woke up and I walked outside just to stretch myself really. And I walked right back in. I was like, oh my God, I survived a war and I'm gonna die here from breathing. I don't know, so I was trying to figure it out. Is it just something happening? And of course, no, that was the case with Memphis and Memphis humidity. And so that was the first shock, right? So the second shock is something that I like to play on my strengths. I build relationships on things that I can do something for other people or work with other people. So of course I will look it up handball and I say, well, I can do handball. I can play handball. And so I'm going to just join a club and that will help me learn the language, because keep in mind, I didn't speak any word of English when I came to the United States. So I was like, that would be an opportunity for me because I know handball, I can do that. Sure enough, no club, no league, nothing. Oh my, I said, I can't do that. How am I going to build a relationship? Forget about breathing now. I want to build relationships now. How am I going to do this? And then ultimately, the third thing that was happening that same summer, the same transition, right, was I had to make a decision. Do I now go back and try to be a second-time senior in high school? Essentially go back to high school, take one more year just so I can learn English. I can take some classes and then prepare myself for college. And then, I was also blessed that I ran into some folks that I never met before. They had some connections with Bosnia, and they took me and guided me to go to community college, take some ESL classes. So I didn't go back to high school, but I joined Southwest, or that time State Tech here in Memphis to do that. So those were the three big things. Those are the first three things I had to realize that things that I knew, things that I was strong at, things that I feel comfortable, all of them were gone. All of them. I had to start learning to essentially, what baseball is. Never heard of it, never seen it. I had to figure out how the school system works. Never joined that. I had to learn how to build relationships in a world where I don't know anyone. So that was a pretty tough summer. It was a pretty tough summer for somebody who went from a very comfortable setting to a brand new world they don't know anything about.
It's very interesting because I want to remind our viewers, many our parents and kids also, that many of us, when you transition from high school into college, that area, there's always a challenge depending on where you go, who are your friends. And we always advise people, find support people to work with you during transition, because transition can really be hard on kids going from high school into college, and they need support. So if mom and dad are not there to support, you want to find good friends, you want to find relatives, you want to find people to support. Obviously, your aunt who is living in Memphis, so she probably provided some support for you during those transitions.
Absolutely. That was, I'm forever thankful for her. And like I say, a few other people, just for sake of time, I'm not naming any more names, but those are the people that that was the support network for me, right? There was no friends. There was the support network. Those are the people that I would go to and say, hey, how do I go buy a car? How do I make friends? How do I take a class? How do I go? I didn't know there was such thing as advisor in college, right? I was told that by one of my, like I say, one of the relatives, and say, hey, make sure you got a good advisor. advisor. So how does that work, right? Well, you got to meet, and I'm like, oh my God. So luckily, once again, I met a good advisor. So, but to your point, if I can reinforce the message that you just shared, that transition for me was obviously one of many that summer. And so for me, the shock of joining college was probably not as big because I was already under the shock of 2-3 other major changes. But for some students, now they are in high school and obviously going to transition sooner or later into the college, inshallah, that's going to be their biggest challenge. That's going to be the biggest shock. That's going to be the biggest everything, right? They're going to go to the environment where they may not know anyone. They may not know the school or the city. Some stay local, but a lot of folks go in different towns. So for them, there's going to be a major shock. So getting yourself educated and having a plan, how you're going to overcome that first 2 weeks, first month, first 2 months of college, that's going to play a key role for your success in college.
I agree. I totally agree. So, Jasmin, tell us, how did engineering come about? How did you decide on engineering?
Interesting, right? So here's the deal. So again, so you have to go back. So I started with just learning English, right? When I started college, I started with taking ESL, right? That was my classes. But then I realized within the 2 semesters or second semester, you know what? I understand math. I was good in math. I mean, I'm still good in math. I love math. And guess what? That is the only thing. That's the same thing in Bosnia and the United States. Yeah, right? So guess what? The very second semester, while I was still taking ESL classes, and again, let me put into perspective from some of the students and some of the people that may be watching this. My first ELS class was, our book was, what is it called? Pictionary, right? A picture and a word underneath it, right? That was my first class, right? That was how I started learning English. So second semester, I'm now past that point. Now I'm actually going to a class. It's still ESL, but I'm expected to put a few sentences together. I'm expected to read some children's books and that kind of stuff. But then I realized math is a math, and I love it. So I signed up for a math class. And I remember like yesterday. I mean, it was a debate within the family. It was a debate at school, because you're just wasting your time, money, all that stuff. You're not going to understand a teacher. I did not understand a teacher for a whole semester. I don't know that I understood 5 words he said, but he wrote things on the board. And he lays out the problem. Well, I solved the problem, right? So I had no idea what he said, but I knew how to solve the problem. So guess what happened? Once you get an A on the first test, you got people knock on your door, knock on your desk and say, hey, I'll teach you English if you teach me math, right? So I was like, all right, fair. I mean, I don't know what they're saying, but I understand what the intent is, right? So here I am, literally having to go to study groups that, let's call it peer-to-peer tutoring, right? And I'm tutoring my classmates, but what is happening is I can't explain to them. So what I'm doing, I keep writing, and they keep talking what I'm writing. So some of the first words I learned was plus, minus, cosine, sine, and trig and all that stuff, right? Because those are the things that I was surrounded with. And I took the class and I got an A out of it. And not only that, but I also built some friendship now. So guess what? The next semester, I took an advanced ESL class, but I took 2 math classes, right? Because I realized I'm going to learn faster by taking math classes. And that's what I did. I got another 2 A's. I built more relationships. I helped other people. I felt good. I played on my strengths. That was my strength. So now, fast forward, as I was taking care of some of the general education classes and picking up on English, my actually first love, let's call it, in that area at that time was actually computer science. So I decided that I'm going to go from State Tech to University of Memphis, transfer the classes I can, luckily math was transferable, and I'm going to go with the computer science. And indeed, I went to actually to get a degree in mathematical sciences and computer science, right? So that was the direction. However, and this is where it gets interesting a little bit, right? My first job was in McDonald's. I was the only full-time employee at McDonald's, right? At that location. And obviously not speaking English, my job was to be on the back, clean, cook, whatever you have to do, just you cannot talk to the customers. But what happened was then from that point on, I joined a medical device company, startup medical device company as a technician to actually produce product. And very quickly, even though once again, I was still learning English, this is happening within the months, they promoted me or they moved me to quality control and to be a quality control technician. And obviously now that was something I always wanted. I wanted to be in a technical field. So now I'm working with the machines, I'm working with the softwares, I'm working with the hardwares, I'm working with the medical devices. I'm calculating some of the parameters, but I'm also doing a lot of inspections with different kind of equipment. CMMs of the world, some people may not know this. This is like a coordinate measuring machines. That was a new thing. So I was really into it. So I continued to do the technical aspects at work while I was pursuing mathematical and science and computer science at the University of Memphis. And of course, now looking back, you know how this works, right? United States. 2 weeks before my graduation, which in my mind, I'm going to quit this job and I'm going to go do computer science and mathematical sciences. They come to me and say, hey, why don't you stick around? We will bump your pay by $8,000. And since you now have a degree, you're going to be in the engineering field and we'll give you more responsibilities. So I'm thinking, okay, no problem. I'll go back to my master's degree and then I'll quit. And then I will go to do my business and mathematical sciences. Fast forward 2 years, I'm getting my master's degrees. I'm about to go graduate. What happened again? They come to me, give me more responsibility, more money, give me a whole engineering department. And they say, hey, why don't you manage the engineering department? We will give you all this, but stick around, don't leave. Fast forward 20 years. I'm still leading engineering departments. I'm still leading operations, now advanced operations. I never quit and left to do computer science or mathematical science because, again, I knew I wanted to be in a technical field. It appears that I was very good at it, people recognizing that. And so I am officially engineer by trade, by experience, by certifications, even though I have undergraduate degree and 2 master's degree that are more focused on the business side and more on computer world. And by the way, that serves me now great because engineering and digital technology are now merging so close that it's actually working in my favor very well.
This is very inspiration for students who are pursuing this area. Obviously, a blend between the academics and the industrial experience, basically, that shaped your own experience, working hard, keeping your eyes open for opportunities, and being creative. Obviously, that's what made the startup say, hey, Jasmine, we want you, we're going to promote you because we are seeing the benefits of having you and the creativity you provide to us. So, we want to remind our students, our viewers, that the value of being creative, hard work, it's going to pay. You just have to endure. And the challenges, similar to what you mentioned during transition, and then keep your mind focused on the mission and what you want to accomplish and your goals.
So let me just again build on that a little bit for a second, right? That's exactly right, brother. So it is important, right? If you're in high school today, if you're in college today, and you're going to be transitioning to the workforce soon, one of the things that will happen, the businesses that you want to work for, does not matter what kind of business. If you're smart, they will do their best to retain you, to support you, to do everything they need in order for them to get the benefit out of you. However, if you don't have your own plan and how you're going to drive that, right? How you actually going to extract that benefit and how you're actually going to benefit yourself and your family, what's going to happen ultimately, you're going to be an asset, what I call it, right, to a company. and you will never be able to reach your full potential and achieve your career or objectives because they're going to continue to steer you. So one of the pitfalls that I look at it, right, is it's one of those things where, you know, you work for a company, you work for them for 5 years, and now you are in a position because you get your education, you got your experience to move on, and they throw you a bone. They give you maybe a little bit more title, give you a little bit more responsibility, give you a little bit more money, and then you suspend your own ambition, your own goals, your own objectives for that little, you know, incentive on the side. That becomes a pitfall because they'll always do that. They'll always get you to the point where they feel like, oh, you may leave, you may be worthwhile, you may be worth more outside, so they're going to give you a little bit more, and you're going to stay back. So my suggestion and advice to myself has been, and I advise everybody else, is exactly what you said. Was you got to stay focused, true to yourself. You got to come up with your own plan. What do you want to achieve? Where do you want to go? And then, yes, if the current situation, current employer, current school, current whatever it is, works in your favor, take advantage of it, do your best, put effort to it. If it doesn't, make sure you make adjustments, because that, you know, sooner or later, you're going to find yourself, I hate to say this, but it's one of the watch-outs, you know, being taken advantage of because you are smart and they're going to take advantage of it.
And also, Jasmine, like to mention, when you looked at your weaknesses and strengths, and English was one of your weaknesses, math was your strength, and you began to exchange through tutoring and working with other kids. You teach them math, they teach you English, and you were very early on in picking up on your weaknesses and improving them and making them a strength. So we want to maybe talk a little bit about improving kids, picking up their weaknesses and try to fix them up, improve them, so they're not a weakness anymore.
Yeah. So let me maybe I'm gonna take a broader picture on the answer on this one. So bear with me for maybe 2 minutes while I try to set a little bit of a tone right here. So there are 3 things that I would suggest and I would recommend anyone who is in high school and anyone who's in college today, and even young professionals. And that's learn, understand, take what your strengths and weaknesses are, right? Especially what your strengths are, right? Learn that, number 1. Number 2 is, I like to say is, you know, make sure you do have a plan. You have some vision for yourself. You spend some time learning about yourself and setting a plan forward. In other words, what you said, doctor, is that focus. You need to have something that will keep you focused. And here's the reason why for that, right? The reason for that is I always tell my people that I coach, that I work with, that I manage, a sun is far more powerful than potentially any laser that we ever created on the earth. Yet a sun cannot cut through any metal, plastic, or whatever, but the laser does. So what is the differences between the two? Focus. A laser has a focus. So if you want to benefit from the sun's power and energy, what do you have to do? You put a magnifying glass. And what does the magnifying glass do? It channels that energy, channels all those things that are going around into a single point. It focuses on something. So having that focus, all of a sudden, what a sun could do anything, now it's cutting through, setting up the fires, whatever it may be. And the third thing is something that I learned probably in my early age, just because of my circumstances living in a war zone, is know your values. Know the things you're not going to compromise no matter what. Know what is important to you that no money can buy, no person can take away from you, right? And we know from the Islamic perspective, we have a pretty good guidance. We have a book, we have a hadith, we have other things that we can learn from, that we can benefit from it. But I have to say this, it has to be intentional. You have to intentionally learn those things. Because again, I made a lot of decisions that were less money, less benefits, but they were aligned with my value, and I never looked back. So now, if you take those 3 things, if you write them down, I strongly encourage you to think about all those 3 things. What are your strengths? What is your plan? What is your focus? What is going to keep you on the straight path? And the third thing is, what is your values? What is the things you're not going to compromise no matter what? If you know those three things, then we can start peeling the onion. Let's look at the strengths, right? As you ask the question, benefit from your strengths. I benefited. I will tell you this, doctor. I moved a company that I worked for, moved my family and I to Switzerland. And we got there, and guess what? There's a French. I was in French part of Switzerland. Didn't speak French, right? So what do? Well, they do have a handball. So in my older age, I joined handball club. I was in some cases twice as old as the other players. But again, I joined the club. Within 2 games, I was the top scorer. So what happens with people around me? They want to know what I'm doing, how I get there, right? And how they're going to learn that if they teach me French, because that's the only way we're going to communicate. We're going to find out. So guess what? They want to ride with me on the car. They want to go to the games. They were very patient with me, trying to teach me French while I was teaching them or showing them some of the tricks and moves that I know in handball stuff. So play on your strengths. If you understand what those are, play on them. And the weakness, yes, there's two different schools of thought. One says develop your weaknesses, so it's not your weakness anymore. The other people say manage your weaknesses. In other words, understand what those are and close them by surrounding yourself with people your weaknesses are their strengths. Well, so I happen to be on that side of the equation. I try to surround myself with people that are very good in things that I'm not good at, so that I can pick their brain because they're natural to them. That's what they play on. That's what they play on the strengths. If you can. Now, don't completely ignore developing your weaknesses, right? In other words, don't be egoistic and say, well, that's not my problem. I'm not going to do this, whatever, right? You still have to do some of this, right? You still have to be able to do, to develop some of it. But I personally don't focus too much on it. I try to identify it, trying to learn it, just like I do in the strengths, but I do my best to benefit from my strengths, continue to develop my strengths, and manage my weaknesses, and surround myself with people that their weakness, that their strength is my weakness. Point of like you brought up, math versus English. I was trying to improve in English. I knew it's a survival tool, right? But I didn't try to do this on my own. What I did was I surrounded myself with people that spoke English, that's their strength. And I shared my strength of math, and that's how I picked up English.
What a great advice you just provided to our viewers. So thank you, Jasmine, for these valuable tips and advices that you just shared with us. So you've been now in industry for a number of years. You are now a leader and a director in a very good position. You're leading a group of scientists. Tell us about management and how are you growing in industry for somebody who want to start a career, let's say finish school, want to go to industry and grow. So give us a little bit about that pathway.
Yeah, so that's a good question as well. So obviously I didn't coming out of a school, I mentioned, I still stay around with the company that I was with for the most part. And I was with the same company one way or the other about 14 years, right? So I built relationships, I built experience over time. But let me just say this though. Again, if you look at the career paths going forward, right? If you're in high school, college, or even early professional that is still struggling to figure out where would there be a best role for them. There are really 3 distinct career paths. One is developing the subject matter expertise, right? So being the best you can be. And there's a number of professions, and even in industry, there's a number of people, that's all they want to do. They want to be the best they can be. They don't want management, right? And by the way, they still make a lot of money. In fact, a lot of folks think that subject matter experts, individual contributors, are the lowest paid or make me at least amount of money. I can tell you, I managed some of the individual contributors and subject matter experts. And there were times where those people made more money than their leaders, because they're such a value, such an asset to the company that you definitely don't want to lose them. You want to pay them. But here's another thing is, as you continue to develop yourself as a subject matter expert. You become truly an expert in industry. So people that are expert in industries, they charge arm and a leg. I mean, I would tell you today, if I was to go out and then seek out advice on some of the processes that we have, I will be paying somewhere between $500 and $2,000 an hour for some experts to come out and give us advice. And then here's another thing is, a lot of subject matter experts, especially in the technical field, what they do is they come up with the new inventions. They come with the patents. They lease those patents out. And next thing you know, they make money on the side. They make more money on the side from the patents than they actually make from working 9 to 5. And they have ton of money. They're millionaires, right? I'm telling you, there are people, they are millionaires and billionaires and still ride bicycles to work and wear jeans because they don't go and trying to be on the front page of the Forbes magazine. They don't try to get on the list of anybody's list of richest people and famous people. No, what they want to do is be left alone, do the things, be the best they can be, and enjoy their life doing that. So I just want to make sure that folks, the students of any generation, the professionals of any kind of level of expertise and experiences, don't discount individual contributors, being an individual contributor. Don't discount being a subject matter expert. The second path is more in program management, where you have some responsibility for projects and you're managing things. You're not doing it yourself, but you also have some people that you're indirectly responsible for. That's what's known as a jack of all trades and master of none, right? You see in a lot of meetings, but it fits a lot of folks. They like that. They like to go. They want to know from the project perspective. They like to work on things that have a beginning and the end, and they want to move to the next one and the next one and the next one. They don't like to grind every day like we do in operations. We grind every single day, right? Because we got to make product every single day. So it's a grind. But the folks that work on project management, they usually have a beginning and the end. That's the definition of the project. And then there's a people leadership. So the people leadership, obviously, you got a responsibility for the people and you have to allocate your resources. And a lot of folks think that's the best path to go, right? That's the only way to go because those people make most money or the most famous or not. I will tell you this, there's a lot of responsibility comes with it. And again, just using some of the Islamic teachings, right? So if you're a leader, you're responsible for those people. That's the same thing as being a shepherd responsible for your flock. You got to put your flock first before you put yourself, right? And if you're not ready to be humble like that, if you're not ready to put other people's needs and benefits and time before your own, you're going to struggle to be an effective leader. And so for me personally, I spent a lot of time developing subject matter expertise. And I was originally promoted in a role of leadership because of my subject matter expertise. And when I joined the leadership role, I still wanted to maintain my technical aspect. And I struggled because I can't do both. And then it took some coaching, it took some mentoring for me to be able to make that shift. And I gave myself, I had a plan, and I gave myself 2 years that I'm going to do my best to see if I'm going to be happy in the new role. If my body is going to be, if I'm going to be able to take care of my flock, so before I take care of myself. And sure, 2 years later, I actually got a lot of recognition for leadership. I got a lot of my team developed and grew, and I found myself actually enjoying it most. So now I feel like I'm in a flow, right? I'm in a flow where I have a pretty strong work-life balance, and I'm in a technical field, which I love to be. I'm in a leadership role, which makes me happy to take care of the folks. So my path going, looking back was, like I say, I was stretched into the leadership role, not necessarily that I was seeking out a leadership role.
What aspiration? I mean, obviously, you multiple strengths, being focused, being dedicated, enjoying growing people, working with people, helping people, pushing people to reach their aspiration. And that's basically what motivates you, I guess, every day, is working with people, helping people, supporting people, and make them reach their potential.
Yeah, so that's exactly right. So, Doctor, as you know, as you mentioned, right? So I've wrote a couple of books on professional development, right? And if anybody picks up those books and read them, you will find out that's the, I didn't, I was not going in and trying to get a PhD out of it. That's not a PhD book. That's a practical, hands-on book. But it is something that I constantly do with my team. Constantly focus on professional development. I do want my team. I tell my folks, all my team members, I have no problem for them to develop and grow to the point where I call them my boss, right? So, in fact, I'm perfectly okay to put a path forward for them to do this. But we start with the conversation with a quote that says, the best way to predict the future is to create it. So sit down, let's create a plan, let's have a conversation about your plan so we can go execute that plan so that you can reach your full potential and achieve your career objectives. So yes, I thrive on those conversations. When I have one-on-ones with my folks and we have a conversation about professional development, those are the days that go by quick. Those are the days that I feel, very energized at the end of the day. Those are the days when I feel accomplished. Those are the days that I feel like I did my job. So yeah, I enjoy that, and it's something that, like I say, you have to. First of all, it's a part of the job, but you have to really like it and love it. Otherwise, people are going to find out really quickly that you're all smoke and no fire.
Thank you. I want to also advise our viewers, if you have any questions to Jasmine, please share them with us on our YouTube channel. Jasmine, we have a question for you.
Yep.
Do you have any advice for college students approaching career?
Do I have any advice of college students approaching the career, meaning they are about to transition from being a student into the professional life?
Right.
Yeah, so I will tell you one thing, and this is going to be general answer just because it is, I don't know what your situation is in terms of the degree, and I'm not sure what kind of job you will be seeking out. But I will tell you this, you are on one of the sweet spots in your professional life. One way to exit schools and go into the professional career is apply for a job. Whoever answers your application, you go in and work for them. That would not be my way. I will do it. In fact, I would refer back to the three things I mentioned before. Number one is, before you exit the school, make a list of people that are going to be your network. Keep in mind, your classmates, they're going to be looking for a job. They're going to start working. If you can get them to be ambassadors, if they can speak on your behalf, if they can keep you in their minds as they join other companies and then start working and they hear about open positions, you want them to think about you. Again, I'm just going to briefly connect to some of the obviously teachings in Islam, right? But if you think about Yusuf alayhi salam, right? When he was in a jail, right? What did he tell those cellmates, right? When you go out, keep me in mind, right? When you talk to the king, to make sure I'm a righteous person, that kind of stuff, right? So what happened? Took years, right? But what happened? King had a dream. What happened to that? He tells his servants, and one of the servants said, "Oh, I know somebody who can interpret that dream. I know somebody who's qualified to do that job." And so don't discount it. I know you may have been partying with your buddies, you may have been going out, you have a good time, all halal, right? But still, you had a fun being in college. But keep in mind, those are the people that you're going to be either work for, they may work for you, or you might work with. Take advantage of the opportunity to strengthen the network before you even get out. Another thing is your professors. I know we are kind of past the point where, a professor's letter of recommendations for the job may be a good thing. I don't know. Some companies still recognize it, some people won't. It's not about recommendations. It's about opportunity to knock on those doors, because you will face some challenges in the work environment where you may think of a professor that had some experience or some education in that field that you want to tap into and have a conversation once again about the topic that you learned in college. So at minimum, make sure that you are strong in those areas. The third leg of this tool is once you understand what type of work you want to do. So I'm going to use an example, brother, here, okay? So let's say you want to be a quality professional. You want to go to be a quality inspector or quality technician or quality engineer, quality manager, right? In the area of quality. And the reason why I picked that because almost every company, almost hospital, every hospital has it, right? FedEx has it. So that's a very broad career path. But here's the deal. If you are going to go and you're thinking that's the path you want to go, you want to get a job in quality, join American Society for Quality, join the nonprofit professional organization, and start attending the virtual and in person. They have actually a very good network here in Memphis. Start joining those meetings, start building a relationship with the people that are already doing that job, and start having conversations about what they like about the job, what they don't like about the job. Listen to presentations, exchange phone numbers, emails, and stuff like that. Let them know that that's what you want to go to keep you in mind for future opportunities. Because once again, I will tell you, the last quality engineer that I hired, you know where I met him? I met him at ASQ meeting. He came in, he gave me his business card. He was unemployed at that point in time. And he just said, hey, and his name is Gary. He said, yeah, my name is Gary, and I just want to cross paths with you. I just want to shake your hand. I appreciate some of the conversations we have had. But I'm also looking for opportunity in quality arena. I'm more interested in quality compliance. Please let me know if you have any openings. Fast forward 2 months. Who did I call? Gary. Forward 2 months because of the process and whatnot. Gary got a job and got a job on my team, right? And so join those organizations that will be directly on your career path. If you do those three things while you're still in college, in your senior year, before you exit, you're already better off than most kids, most of your peers that are still in college and maybe looking out. But here's another thing is, there will be a day of graduation, right? And you want to go and work for somebody or for a company. My thing is, go back to those three things. Strengths. Where are you going to be applying the most of your strengths? If you have a knack for transportation, airplanes, you may want to look for FedEx, UPS. You may want to look for those kind of companies. Be intentional. If you are more of a scientist, you may want to look for companies that actually do some inventions, that actually work on coming up with new medical devices, new therapies, new recipes, right? If you have more knack of, if your strength is more working on a team, where you are more of a team player, you may actually join organizations that are project-based organizations. So be intentional so that you can do this for your strengths. Second thing is, don't go on the interview without having a plan. Everybody's going to ask you, what do you see yourself in 3 years? Everybody's going to ask you, what do you see yourself in 5 years? Everybody's going to ask you what questions you have for me. If you don't have a plan, if you don't have a executable individual development plan, you're not going to be able to answer those questions. Or you're going to give them too generic answer that you can Google. They can Google that answer, right? You don't want to do this. You want to stand out as somebody who came in prepared, not just ready, but prepared to have that conversation, right? That's a plan. That's a focus. Shows them that you are focused, that you are not general. And the third thing is, don't go for the companies that will compromise your values. Brother, when I finished my college, I was 2 years into experience. I got a call from a company. They were offering me 50% more money, 50% more money. They say, I'm going to work on a strategic project, a project that is a high visibility and very secretive. I had to sign 2 NDAs, one for a company and then one for this particular project. As a young professional, they were feeding my ego through the roof. Through the roof. I'm on. I mean, this was like awesome. More money, power, knowledge, working with good things, right? I actually considered it for maybe a day or two, right? And I turned it down. So why did I turn it down? You know what was the name of the company? Jack Daniels. Well, that doesn't fit with me. Jack Daniel's whiskey does not fit my values. So I decided to turn down the money, turn down the visibility, even in a young career, turn down all these opportunities that may come with it, right? And stay where I was. So you coming out, if Jack Daniels calls you, in Islamic perspective, I just don't see it. I feel there's a strong conflict there. So make sure that what the companies that you're going in, their missions, their products, their values align with your mission, your values, right? Something that you can stand behind, not being too embarrassed to. So if you do those three things, like I say, before you go to college, and then three things as you graduate and you go to the interview process, I strongly believe you're going to be in a fantastic position to land in a job where you're going to be happy and aligned and successful.
I mean, what a great advice, Jasmine. I mean, this is basically the secret therapy for success.
Well, I brother, it was, like I say, and I'm not embarrassed that I thought about it, but I followed Jack Daniels for 2 years because I was curious what was the project, what did I miss, and sure enough, I can talk about it. As a matter of fact, I found out a lot about it after it went public. And it will be a huge success. The bonus will be through the roof and all that stuff. But I'm so blessed that Allah kept me away from that path, that gave me the wisdom to think about it, and not just to say no immediately, but actually to think about it, to make a conscious decision not to do this. I am forever, ever, obviously grateful for everything to Allah, but that particular one, that proved to me that at least there's a hope in me for myself.
Right. I mean, you kept your value system matching up with the Islamic values, and Allah Subhanahu wa Taala rewarded you for maintaining those values according to the Islamic teaching. So, so tell us a little bit about publications, books, and how you became an author.
Well, so I kind of hinted a little bit earlier, right? I've been I have been in a leadership role for about 12, 13 years now, and have had a chance to lead the teams here in the United States as well as outside the United States. We measure something, no matter what company I work for, no matter what country I was in. One of the things that companies do these days, they measure the level of engagement of the employees, right? And Gallup, who is a world-known research organization, right? If not one of the best, most credible. They issue a few reports connecting directly a professional development and structure and effective professional development with the retention and engagement of the employees. And what I found myself in, first of all, I knew my career path, my progression, career growth accelerated once I became focused, once I created my own executable individual development plan, EIDP. And so what I did was people started calling to me and asking me, my direct reports and some other folks will come to me and say, ask me, so tell me about your plan. So I would tell them about my plan. Say, well, how did you create it? I would tell them how I created it. They say, well, can you tell me, can you coach me? Can you teach me? Sure. I will draw it on the map. I will draw on a piece of paper. I will talk to them. And I would do this once, twice, 3 times. Next thing you know, I had this notebook, and every one of them that comes to me, I had to draw all these plans and all these steps, and I tear the piece of paper, give it to them. Next person comes in, and I do it again. And I realized, oh my God, I mean, I gotta create a PowerPoint presentation and just give them the presentation, right? Send them email. So that's what I did. I created a PowerPoint presentation of my structured 9-step process of creating a EIDP. Well, guess what? I started sending this out, whoever asks, and they come back and ask me questions. Hey, what about this? What about this? Can I do this? So I will start documenting those questions. And then finally, what happened was I lived in California, or we as a family lived in California, and I started receiving some letters. I started receiving some letters from people that actually took my plan, that listened to me, and then actually saying, thank you, it worked out for me. I'm actually on my track to execute my plan. I'm happier than I've ever been. I like the company that I'm in now. I didn't like where I was before. Thank you. Letters started coming in. So I realized there's maybe something to it. So I went online and before I did that, I actually compiled all that information together. And once I compiled all the information together, I had about 40,000 words and graphs and charts in it. So of course, what I did, I actually Googled, what does it take to write a book, right? And then of course, instructions came up and I downloaded them, looked at them, and I decided to turn all those notes, all those experiences, all those coaching sessions, all the personal experiences on my own and my education as executive leadership and business. I put all that together, plus do some research, and ultimately wrote a script. And I remember I wrote a final words. It was a brain dump. I just dumped everything on paper. And when I was done, I flipped my laptop down. I was sitting in my living room and I'm like, oh my God, did I just write a book, right? And I said, here's the deal. Here's what's going to validate this. I'm going to send it to 10 people, 5 people who I know. They are executives, they are smart people, they are very read people, and 5 people they are on a. I know of them. We have some sort of a connection, but we're not that close. I'm going to give them this script, and I'm going to ask them to give me some feedback. And I put a high standard to this, brother. I said, if one person comes back and says it's not worth publishing, I will not do anything with it anymore. Well, they all came back and say it's worth publishing. It's unique enough. But they also said it's too darn long. There's too many examples in it. There's too many supporting evidence. There's too many citations in it. Because I was academically writing the book, essentially. So I revised it. And by the way, revising a book is far harder than writing a book, right? Just so everybody know, right? You can write a book in a few months, and it's going to probably take another 2 to 3 years to revise it, because you got to go through many, many motions of doing this. And ultimately in 2017, I think it was 2017. In fact, the books that are behind me, right? So if you look at the book that are behind me on this side, in fact, the first red book came out. And once it showed up on Amazon, I was like, oh my God, there's a book, and it's my book, and it's Amazon and all that stuff. And sales started happening. People started buying my book, started writing me comments, feedback, and next thing you know, a blue book came out as a result of that. If you look at the on the side, the blue came out, blue book. Then there's essentially 4 books now, but they all have one intention in mind, and that is to share all these experiences about creating a professional development plan so that you can stay focused, to make sure you identify your strengths so you can play on your strengths, and to make sure that you spend enough time identifying your personal values so that you can stay true to your values instead of just taking a job just because it's a first job that you got to offer.
So thank you. I've just shared the web link for people to go and check your books online. So in the next, so Jasmine, in the next minute or so, what advice do you have for our viewers?
So here's the deal. I'm going to go back to, I'm just going to share very quickly 3 quotes, right? Or 3 statements. And folks should really reflect on them and maybe do some more reading on it. Number 1, when it comes to your professional development, when it comes to your career, when it comes to your stuff, number 1, I strongly believe the best way to predict the future is to create it. So if you want to go and achieve your own career objectives, reach your full potential, make sure you are in the driver's seat. I believe the tool for that is EIDP, having your executable individual development plan. The second thing is the what Stephen Covey, late Stephen Covey, said in his book of 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And he said, begin with end in mind. In other words, don't go to every intersection and ask for direction. Have some sort of path, have some sort of understanding where you want to get to. Now, from an Islamic perspective, let me remind myself and everyone else, the ends don't justify the means. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying begin with end in mind, but in the process, you still have to maintain your ethics and your values and things that are important. You cannot compromise those because of you just want to hit the end, the goal, right? And the third thing is, I tell people, if not you, then who? If not now, then when? So if you're not thinking about your professional development while you're still in high school, even in college, even in early professionals, then when are you going to do this, right? Why would you let another day pass by without being intentional about your career, about your professional development? And again, if not you, then who do you think is going to do it? If you end up working for me, I'm not going to do it for you. No manager is going to do it for you. I will tell you that much, right? So if you don't do it, nobody else is going to do it for you. So if not you, then who? If not now, then when? If you write those three things down for yourself and reflect on them, I strongly believe that between your education, between your network, you will be able to carve out your own path that will lead you to success. And by the way, let me just also say this, brother, and this is something to remind for myself, constant reminder for myself. I tell people I don't want to be successful, I want to be significant, right? I think the next level of above success is a significance. Success seems to be externally viewed. Significance is more internal. So I feel like I want to go from success to significance. I want to be able to make a difference. I don't care if people see that as being successful or not.
So obviously, Jasmine, I mean, you're always looking to create something new and then share it, and help people benefit from it. So, sure. I mean, I wanna thank you for the last 60 minutes. It has been really inspiration for our viewers, and thank you for coming on Talk with a Professional.
Well, I will tell you. Can I say one more thing before we disconnect?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
So inshallah, God willing, we do want to start a program called Accelerate Your Professional Development, starting in November on a weekly basis. And it's not going to be about my books. It's going to be about weekly sessions where we want to talk about things like ethical leadership, how good people make tough choices. We want to talk about the different types of intelligence. We want to talk about how to be the best subject matter expert it can be, how you can be the best project management it can be, how you can be a best leader you can be. Even non-profit organizations, not just for-profit organizations. We want to have some panels. We already have an exciting panel put together for most likely December 18th. That we're going to have opportunity for folks to ask questions directly, ask questions to professionals, senior professionals, seasonal professionals, to learn more and more about what they can do about their own professional development. It will be a combination of different presentations. There will be some talks. There will be a workshop plan for it. So I'm hoping that folks will see some of those announcements coming in tomorrow, in fact, and they will join us. And Doctor, I got a question for you. I want to put you on the spot. I want one of these sessions, Talk with Professional, to be a live session in front of the live audience, with the audience in front of you, right? And your own guest, whoever you choose to have it that evening, but to be one of those weekly sessions so that we can build this as 14 weeks of different topics, different people, different programs that we already have, alhamdulillah, in the community, and making sure that we pull all that together for the benefit of our own youth, our own young professionals, and then that we start sharing from our more senior professionals and pass that knowledge, pass that wisdom that we gathered. So I hope you say yes. I know, and we'll give you a chance to think, but I just want to let you know that inshallah, you will be on my invite to have one of these sessions live in front of the live audience, in front of the people in front of you, and with your own guests, so that we can obviously broadcast that as well, but to make that a part of this program that we are going to call Accelerate Your Professional Development Program, starting inshallah in November.
I mean, it will be a pleasure to join you and support your effort in promoting professional development, and especially in our community. So I look forward to participate and bring the show to your program and support you. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. All right, I'll be looking forward. I'll keep you posted about it. Thank you very much.
Great.
And obviously, anybody who's listening to this conversation anytime between now and November, please sign up. Please join. It's free. but it's going to require sign up so we can send up free material, free resources, free tools that you can use, inshallah, to help yourself so that you can reach your full potential and achieve your career objectives without compromising your personal values.
Inshallah. So thank you, Brother Jasmin Nuhic, for this wonderful hour that you spent here with Talk with a Professional. And I want to also thank our viewers, our parents, our students, and career seekers. So I hope you got the benefit from joining this program today and listening to Jasmin and his career path. So thank you, everybody, for watching. Until next time, this is Talk with the Professionals. Have a good day. Bye-bye.